Hello YouTube, Twisty here with another video. And yes, I'm talking again about Legends Arceus. Because someone we all know and kind of loathe dared anyone on this website to defend this game. Well, yeah, it's defendable. A game that is only really perceived as bad as it is because of marketing tricks on Nintendo's part, to give it a sense of similarity towards already popular and or successful games. Breath of the Wild, Genshin Impact. However, today I'm going to clear up most of this, maybe all of this, and tell you why playing Legends Arceus should be something you might want to consider. So yeah, before we get into this, leave a rating, comment if you have any more ideas or comments about this game. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this, and without any further ado, let's jump in. Okay, so admittedly, the marketing campaign for Legends Arceus drove one thing home. We look somewhat similar to Breath of the Wild. Hey, stop! And that's it. Aside from that, it's very much a very Pokemon-esque feel to the game, honestly. The Breath of the Wild connection was like the most obvious thing in the entirety of marketing that we've ever seen. And if you were to put the two games side by side, it would become pretty much instantaneously clear how Legends Arceus borrows a lot of aspects from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. However, neither is this an inherently bad thing, nor should it become the focus point. Legends Arceus seriously just has one goal. It wants to establish a more primitive lifestyle, primitive in quotation marks, primitive lifestyle of old Sinnoh, back then called Hisui, and show us the practices of the past as well as give us a sense of progression from back then to today. Because back then we didn't have a regular Pokedex that we are used to nowadays. The Pokeballs were a lot harder to produce, stuff like that. Speaking about the Pokedex, I've seen complaints about the Pokedex and how tedious it looks. Well, guess what? Someone had to gather all this information for us to, in the present, to use at our leisure, to use it ad nauseum, honestly. And this information just doesn't fall from the sky, unless we're talking about flying types. It has to be researched. Someone has to do that work. And, well, we never had to do that work ourselves, honestly, because yes, we had to catch a Pokemon, but the entry was already pre-written, and everything that we know about the Pokemon was something that came from the past. So this is very much a research-based game. And people like me, I like that exploration. I like that idea of doing the research myself, simply because it's scientifically accurate to how this works. I mean, a lot of prequels get shit for ruining established lore. Just look at Star Wars Episode 1, 2, 3. So many people hate that. But honestly, personally, I think they're fine. They're not the most amazing films ever, but they have a place in the Star Wars universe. Okay, back to Pokemon now. This game will be very much a story-driven experience. It will be very much focused on the history and the problems of the past, with Pokemon being a lot more agitated than they are nowadays. I'm pretty sure the gameplay will be a secondary role with Pokemon Legends Arceus, and that's totally fine. It would be somewhat of a new take, to be fair. A new take on the franchise where story actually comes first and gameplay comes second. Usually the story of a Pokemon game is very much become champion, and that's that. Not very exciting. It's stale, it's repetitive, it's something that works, but it's still not exciting, honestly. Because most people, when they see this game and they see the first gym leader, they immediately jump to the idea of, I wanna beat everyone now anyway. And sometimes there isn't even a lot of story to talk about. The best example of a story in Pokemon would be, in my eyes, Generation 5. I think Generation 5 did it best. Team Plasma actually was a part of the entirety of the game, even post champion, if I recall correctly. You beat the champion, and then you get to the big finish with the fight against N. And honestly, I'm sorry, but I don't remember Black to White to all that well, so I don't remember how that goes. The whole conclusion with N, that was just really well executed. It was something new, something really fresh, and it was just really good for Pokemon because it broke up the formula in a way that actually involves the main antagonists over the course of the actual champion existing. Okay, let's move away from the story because there are other aspects of complaints that people have with Legends Arceus. For instance, character designs. Yeah, some characters look very, very similar to already existing characters. And to that, I can only say it's genetics. It's super easy. It's genetics. Those people from the past had kids. And later down the line, those kids will have had kids. And they may just look like the people of the past. Genetics are very much the ground basis for all this. And just saying they look exactly the same and therefore the game is shit is just bad arguments. It's just straight up bad arguments. I'm sorry. And again, it's kind of also used to draw a sense of similarity to Diamond and Pearl, but it's mostly genetics. And no, I'm not pulling this out my ass. The whole genetics thing has been started in Red and Blue with Mew, Mewtwo, and Ditto. If you don't know about that, read it up. Then there is the point of concern about the different evolutions of Pokemon and how they are nowhere to be seen nowadays. Well, that's also very easy. Natural selection, climate changes, not having the resources to upkeep your own existence anymore. It's super easy. Or perhaps even the people of Hisui or Sinnoh, how it's later going to be called, just hunted some of them to extinction. I mean, the Pokemon universe itself has a lot of disturbing stories where people eat actual Pokemon. It's not unheard of. Maybe they drove them out of their regular habitats, and therefore, in the new habitats, they just had no way of preserving their own existence anymore. So easy. A lot of people ragged about the graphics. Well, any official trailers have yet to come out. And, well, so far it's a valid opinion. I mean, sure, if you don't like the graphics, go ahead. I don't care. But I would still disagree. Legends Arceus is going to have a much more action-focused gameplay, with the trainer dodging around, not trying to get hit by thunderbolts. And I don't think you will have the time to realistically look at 353 and 354 right next to you when you're trying to dodge an Electivire's attacks. Yes, some of the tree assets may have been reused, but how is that a bad thing? Tree assets are there to be used again. And it's not like Ilka with Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl have used the exact same trees that Sword and Shield or Legends Arceus have used. They have created their own stuff. So what is bad about this again? If you want to create an entirely new tree asset or anything like that for your own game, that's good on you. You show that you really care intensely about your game. But it's also unnecessary, and in the field of cold, hard corporate cash, it's also just illogical to do that. The new battle perspective, the new battle style with you being much more involved as a character, I don't know. I don't feel bad about them potentially reusing tree assets or even grass assets. I don't give a shit. As long as the overall gameplay and story is good, I don't care about graphics. That is why Xenoblade Chronicles 1 became one of my favorite games of all time. On the Wii, it looked like crap, but the story was sick, the gameplay was great, and the characters were endearing and lovable, even if some of them looked like they had their face melting.
Oh no!
Thank Zanza above for the definitive edition of Xenoblade 1. Thank him so much. Even though he tried to kill everyone. But here comes the biggest point where everyone says, you can't defend this shit. The Arceus phone. Well, guess what? Yes. Yes, I can. Because it's the most easy solution ever. You realize that Arceus is part of this game, right? Arceus, the literal god of the Pokemon universe. The omnipotent being in the Pokemon universe. Who literally can create everything he wants to. Do you think that technology is gonna be more complex than actual organisms? Like Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, Mew, whatever else it is? No. Living beings are way more complex and complicated than technology. And because Arceus created both Dialga and Palkia, I'm pretty sure that Arceus also has omnipotence about space-time. So, I'm pretty sure that Arceus will be able to see in the future. Maybe it just pulls one of those phones straight from the future. Who knows? Seriously, who even knows? We have to play the game to figure this out for real. The website explicitly states that it has close ties to Arceus. The omnipotence at play is just not taken into account. Arceus can do whatever it wants. Space and time are there to be bent to its will. If Arceus wanted to make this game about Deadpool, he could. That would be honestly a much better game. I kid, okay, I kid. And then there's Pokeball creation. Why is this even put into question? Do certain people just not remember how humanity in the real world developed? We didn't start with top tier technology back in 2007. It develops over time. So why is it a bad thing that you have actual Pokeballs that you craft yourself because there are no factories around you where you can buy them? I mean, you can still apparently buy them from certain traveling merchants, but that's also just absolutely in line with what is trying to be portrayed. They have to make them themselves, and what again is bad about all this? I seriously don't see the thought process. Rather, I see it, but I don't understand it. How is it bad that we see the origins of Pokeball creation as a character ourselves, where we create them ourselves? How is that a bad thing? It still uses apricorns, it's in line with the lore, and we just see the enforcement of the apricorns with other items to give the Pokeball their specific characteristics. So yeah, a stone to reinforce the inner puddings of an apricorn, and that makes it more resilient against the Pokemon breaking out. It makes sense, it works. Shut the hell up if you don't understand it. And we all know who I'm talking about. A different apricorn, a different enforcement item, and ta-da! Suddenly you have a heavy ball. Suddenly you have a great ball. Suddenly you freaking understand how Pokeballs actually are the way they are. I don't see what's bad about any of that. Nowadays, honestly, nowadays I would hazard to say that Pokeball creation is explained too little. We get them through factories like we see in Generation 6 with X and Y. What's the materials from the Pokeball creation there? Is it aluminum? Titanium? Steel? We don't know. Is there any enforcement used? Why are there these data plates in the Pokeball? Nothing is explained properly. The only sort of explanation that we have is with Kurt in the Johto games. We give him some form of apricorn, and he then uses whatever he has at his disposal to make a special Pokeball out of that. That's literally the only thing that we know about Pokeball creation up until Legends Arceus existing. So why not expand on the lore? And no, this is not retconning Pokeball creation. It's not. It's explaining something that has been missing. People don't understand retcon as a word sometimes. A retcon is taking an existing principle, in this case, Pokeball creation, and flipping it on its head and changing the entire meaning of it. An example for a retcon would be to say, oh wait, in the Johto games they said they used apricorns. In Legends Arceus they use berries, which actually is a different thing, yeah. Or even more so different mushrooms or something like that. That would be a retcon. This is just adding on to something that we just don't know everything about yet. I think the actual Pokeball Apricorn article even states that Pokeball creation like this with the apricorns started sometime between 700 to 450 years in the past. That's a perfect time frame for Legends Arceus to take place. And it's going to add on to the creation of the Pokeballs because over time technology will get better. And then people will realize, oh, we don't need stones anymore. We can use this certain metal. And that's going to make everything so much easier. And it's going to lead us to the point that we are in today. Again, how is any of that destroying the creation of Pokeballs? I don't get how people can say that. It doesn't make sense. And don't get me started with, well, where would people have learned how to create Pokeballs? How did humans end up in our world? How did we learn to build rocket ships, to fly to the moon, and further? Some things are just beyond explanation. Some things just happen out of sheer coincidence. Same with Pokeball creation. Same with the Arceus phone. Same with the evolutions that we no longer see in the present because of either natural selection or human interaction. It's all pretty basic biology or physics. Okay, to wrap this up. I actually expect a better story than even Generation 5 was able to tell. Story, even post main objective, which I think will be exploring the entire map, getting recognition from the different wardens, helping them with their issues. And as the finale, I can see us helping Arceus with catastrophes all over the place, and that being some form of test to show Arceus that the people of Hisui were deserving of the guidance that Arceus gave them up until that point, but they are ready to move forward without Arceus. That would explain why Generation 4, Diamond and Pearl, and Platinum had no way of getting Arceus on regular occasions. I think over the life of us being in Hisui, we will actually show Arceus that it being doubtful, which I think is going to happen in the beginning of the game, is undeserving because the people of Hisui develop themselves, they have social structures, they have everything they need to be their own thing, and I think that in the end, we will have one sparring match, I would call it, with Arceus to show it that we are ready to live life without it. I think this game will very much be cutting ties with Arceus, with the guidance it gave, with it being the omnipotent force in the world. And I think that that will lead to Hisui changing to Sinnoh as to move forward to the future with a new outlook. I think that will be the turning point for us to finally move into the present. It might even look something similar to the 12th Pokemon movie, where Arceus was being betrayed by the humans and then rebelled and wanted to erase humanity as a result. Yeah, that was a thing. It's actually kind of cool. At this point in time, I also wonder if we're going to be collecting the different plates that Arceus is known for. And I can definitely see that happening. Although I do think that we're still not going to see Arceus actually as a usable Pokemon anytime soon. But that is yet to be revealed. Okay, that was basically everything I wanted to say on Legends Arceus and how I think it's going to be a great game. Well, not perfect, not in the slightest bit perfect. It's going to have its issues, especially the research aspect is going to put off a lot of people, but well, not everyone's going to like that, so who cares? Everyone has their likes and don't likes. All right. With all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope that maybe I was able to change your perspective on Legends Arceus, and if I didn't, at least watch someone play it. Maybe me. I have a Twitch channel, and I may put content of Legends Arceus on my Twitch. That's good. That's yet to be seen. Until then, this has been Twisty, aka Marco, and I'm out. Have a great time.